be a lady tonight.
I think the key today, though, is what I want to do for you is to improve your luck by improving the choices that you make throughout your universe of what you're doing in your business and through fixed income. The idea is to basically go through the risks that exist in the world, examine them from the standpoint of the financial markets, from where we've been, where we are, and where we're likely to go. As a matter of fact, the word risk comes from the Italian word riscare, which means to dare. So in that sense, risk is really a choice, and it's not subject to fate or luck. But with that, I'd like to get to what my sisters like to call my favorite subject, and that is me. You know, I was number 6 out of 7 kids, right? So for 9 years, I was the youngest in the family, and I was always called the baby, which I hated, right? I don't know if any of you are babies from the family. It used to drive me crazy. But I think what's really fun about that is that being the baby, you have a different perspective on the world, right? So when we would go to church, we were kind of the poster family for, like, the Catholic Church, really, because my parents had 6 kids in 8 years. So we were always, you know, the ones that the priest would like to come up to and talk to. And one time after Mass, the priest came up to my dad and said, "Oh, Bill, you did great. You know, look at all these wonderful kids," and kind of ran through, you know, 6 through 8. And then finally came to me, and it was like, "Oh, well, how old are you, son?" The priest said to me, and I looked up at him. I said, "You know, I'm 7." And he looked down at me and he said, "Oh, you must be the baby of the family." And with that, I punched him. It's a true story. Yeah, that's me. So, you know, I've been in the financial markets for 29 years as a trader, as an advisor, and as a strategist. In 2000, I had my own talk show called Politics and Money. That's how I got to meet a lot of characters out of D.C. That's how I got to be an outside advisor to the Bush administration. I got to meet people like Hank Paulson. And a lot of other Treasury secretaries as well. I got to visit in the West Wing as well. That was a lot of fun. It's incredible how small the West Wing is, by the way, and how cramped the offices are. That kind of took me by surprise the first time I went there. In 2007, I wrote a book called World Event Trading. Let me get to this. This is Money in Motion, right? This is a show I just finished for CNBC. It ran for the last 2 years, and again, I got to interview a lot of characters like this guy, like Ron Paul. So that was a lot of fun. I did write a book called World Event Trading. That covered major events like disease outbreaks, terrorism, elections, war, things that are still obviously very salient to what you do for a living today. You know, when I was growing up, we used to go to the grocery store with my mom, all 6 of us. And we used to buy what was called sweet cereal, right, back in the 60s, sweet cereal, right, instead of, like, you know, shredded wheat, which my dad ate. We still can't figure out why. Cereals had a lot of little prizes that you'd get, right? So the grocers would come in, the boxes of cereal would never make it to the cabinet. We'd grab them, rip them open, throw it on the counter, and get the prize, right, and leave the mess for my mom. Kind of reminds me of Europe a little bit, doesn't it? But that's what we have to deal with for 2013. So we want to talk about what's the prize inside, right? What are we going to get this year? What's our Cracker Jack prize? Well, oh, wait a minute. You got to be careful around here because you never know when, whoa, GDPs start falling on your head. I know that's a little corny, but right, what came out this week? China's GDP, didn't it? And it missed. It was 7.7%. Now, this shows 7.9%. That's China on the bottom there, so I didn't have time to put it in. But the point is that everything matters when you're in a very slow growth period. We care about things like Cyprus because we're in a slow growth period, because everything influences you getting to a higher level of growth, and anything that detracts from that, people get very concerned about, obviously. We need to turn to...
Oh my God.
Cool.
Like, totally.
You are so popular.
Like, gag me with a spoon.
The 3 fates. In ancient Greece, it was believed that a person's destiny was tied to these 3 young women, right? Now, that's a pretty scary thought. The first one, Clotho, was the spinner and spun the thread of life. The next one, Lacheus, she was the measurer, and measured out how, where your life would go. And of course, Atropos, well, she was the fun one to hang with. She was the one that cut the thread of life. I used to think it was pretty hard to believe or understand the concept of young women providing the direction of happiness in your life. Until I had teenage daughters. Now I know better. But seriously, I think the fates of what we're looking at are really kind of tied to these three questions that we need to answer today. Obviously, what's next for Europe? Will China sustain? And obviously for the United States, can the U.S. get out of its own way? And that's going to be a central theme that runs throughout this presentation to some extent. And let's talk about these guys. China. Now, they're turning themselves upside down and trying to change some of the structure, not only of the political system, but also with their economy. And it's not really going so great, is it? It's very difficult to do. So we've got major shifts. We've got a political shift that happened this year. We've got an economic growth shift that's been downward from double digits down to where we are right now. And finally, we have this economic shift, or the shift of the mix within the Chinese economy. Just had Xi Jinping confirmed by the Communist Party as the president of the country. And he takes over from Hu Jintao. Now, he's in charge for the next 10 years. And they also have rolled out their next 5-year economic growth policy. But if you think about it, this guy's got his hands full, right? I mean, they've got disagreement with Japan over the Senkaku Islands. They've got problems with cybersecurity in the United States. Obviously, there's a lot of questions whether or not they're launching attacks. They've got major environmental issues, don't they, with pollution. And of course, now they have the latest strain of bird flu. And just to, put the final nail in the coffin, we actually have this guy. That's right.
Gangnam Style.
So what this says here,
Gangnam Style.
He says, if this photo gets me more likes than Gangnam Style in YouTube, I will not push the button. So this is Kim Jong-un. It's a little known fact, actually, that the reason why he's so upset right now at South Korea and the United States from a foreign policy standpoint, he believes Psy actually stole his dance moves. It's true. You guys probably didn't hear that, but it's true. I think everyone in this room is a risk taker. But the key is, how do you improve your chances of winning? Well, you got to increase the likelihood of your success by better choices. And that's really what I've tried to do today. So, we went through like who I am. We went through the 3 pieces of research that I really liked. We went through the major themes through China, through Europe, through the United States. We talked about what I think are the biggest risks out there. And hopefully what I've done today is, help you make your own damn luck and improve your chances of winning in your business and investing.
Luck be a lady tonight.